Hello and welcome. Welcome to the channel. My name is Kubeir. I'm a CICC licensed immigration consultant. I do not know why I need to say this again and again. By now you already know, right? And you don't even need any introduction as such. But you know what? Welcome to the channel. This is our weekly roundup that we choose to do every single weekend, I would say now, because we usually do it on Saturday, but today being a Sunday, we're back here. Welcome. As you see the thumbnail, as you see the title, I don't have much to talk about Express Entry. I know a lot of you are actually quite quite irritated, anxious, frustrated, angry, and trust me, I share most of those emotions as well. But no, I don't. Before we even start, and before you say that you're not providing any information, well, I don't have any update, any information. The same old things that I've heard from a couple of places, that there are lots and lots of technical changes being done at the back end, but I don't buy that anymore, because if they could conduct a draw once, about a few weeks back, then they could have conducted another one. But the point is, whenever they don't conduct a PNP draw, so because they have this agreement with the provinces, right, that they have to conduct a provincial nominee program draw, because provinces are providing nominations and the nominations have an expiry date of about 6 months. So if there is an expiry date on the nominations, then it becomes quite important for express entry draws to happen, so that the people who have received the 600 points in the nomination can actually submit their applications in time. And sometimes, they might have to wait a bit longer, but they should be able to submit within the 6 months expiry date. So therefore, conducting the express entry draws regularly is quite an obligation, quite a requirement. So therefore, if IRCC is not conducting even the regular express entry draws, then it is always a bit of a concern. And we don't really know what's happening. Usually, if they are not conducting even a PNP draw, then in most cases, historically, as we have seen over so many weeks and months and of course years, that it has usually got to do something to do with some technical changes that are happening on the back end. And because of that, they are unable to complete the whole update to the pool, and therefore they can't conduct the draws. But I do not have any confirmation. I do not have any update. I do not have anything which says that this is the reason. So I'm as much in the dark as much as you guys are. I'm as much frustrated as you guys are, and unfortunately I don't have anything to update you in terms of why the draws are not happening. Similarly, I'm sure you have questions as to why Ontario is not conducting the draws either. No answer there as well. But you know what? Ontario did start. In their defense, they did actually have started conducting the draws, and we're going to talk about that as we start our weekly roundup. We start now. Yes. Okay. So Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup. Welcome on that. Stay up to date on the news, updates, and trends on all platforms. So please. Hey, happy Father's Day. So all the fathers out there, you guys deserve this. This is your day. Go out and do everything that you always do otherwise anyways, right? But congratulations. Happy Father's Day. I don't want to say much more on that, because you already know what you guys do, what you guys contribute to the well-being of your own families. So well done, guys. Keep it up. The topics of discussion today: PNPs and updates, other news, and question and answers. Of course, we'll get to that. Please hold your questions for the timing till we get to the Q&A segment, and then we can answer your questions. Starting with the PNP draws. Ontario on the 11th of June, first time in actually not 2 months, more than 2 months actually. What was it, in 3 months? Let's see. The last draw was in April. Okay, yeah, April is not too bad. And they have conducted a draw. Finally, they invited in 2 separate draws on the 11th of June. This was under the employer job offer foreign worker stream and the international student stream. Now, the problem here in both these draws that they conducted, 2 draws. 2 draws. 11th of June, employer job offer international student stream and the foreign worker stream. And the thing with these 2 draws was that, first of all, the number of invitations was not too high. Let me sort of jump onto this page instead. Yes, this is the OMP website. If I go to the month of June, obviously that's the only draw that has happened. What do we have here? NOC code was 42202. This is the only NOC code they invited in these 2 draws, and these are early childhood educators and assistant. 124 of those were invited under the foreign worker stream, and 120 of those were invited under the international student stream, early childhood educators. Now, this actually is one reason why I always tell you guys to create your profile in whatever program you might be eligible. Now, obviously, if you are an early childhood educator and let's say you had a very low score, because you see in both these, scores were not indicated, right? So they practically invited all the candidates who were in the pool with that NOC code. So therefore, even if you have a lower score, even if at that point of time your scores are not very high and you're being discouraged and you're being told that there is no point of applying, your scores are too low. For example, previously, international student stream, the scores have been at 72 for general draws. And if you're an early childhood educators and Ontario doesn't normally invite early childhood educators under specific category, therefore there is no point of creating your profile, or even if you're an employer job of a stream. But this is a great example that you must always create your profile wherever you are eligible, if of course you meet the criteria, because in these manners you might just get that ticket to get through. This happens with Nova Scotia also. Nova Scotia, actually, I'm not sure I have it over there, but Nova Scotia also did conduct a draw, but they actually made a bit of a boo-boo there as well. So similarly, Alberta sometimes invite from the express entry pool. Nova Scotia, of course, also invites from the express entry pool. And as you can see, this time Ontario has invited from their own pool. Of course, for this you have to create your expression of interest. But in this case, they invited early childhood educators, which nobody expected. So if you are one of those guys, then congratulations. This is awesome, and it's good that you did create your account on those platforms. Then we have British Columbia, again, our usual suspect. They have conducted, again, the number of invitations that BC has been issuing has actually drastically reduced. But one of the reasons why the numbers of invitations have reduced as far as BC is concerned is because they have now started identifying so many different streams within the stream. They've started identifying specific occupations within the streams. And therefore, if you have to now start issuing invitations to specific streams, your total number of invitations that you were earlier issuing under the general categories or, without any specific requirements for specific stream, specific NOC codes, obviously that number is going to come down. So what is now happening is that for all streams except entry level and semi-skilled, the June 11 draw required candidates to have a minimum score of 131. That's really, really high. And entry level and semi-skilled, meanwhile, needed a score of 110. So you can see the scores are really, really high there. 13th of June, this is when Saskatchewan conducted a draw after a very, very long time. And we keep saying very long time. I mean, yeah, it happened in March, but that March draw was hardly something that you can look at. What happened in March? Oh, they did invite 14 or 21, few people, about 35 people they invited. So we don't really consider that as a big draw. But they did conduct a draw finally on the 13th of June. Let me switch to Saskatchewan website. There you go. Yeah. What did they invite? Again, not too many draws. Not too many invitations being issued. 32 invitations were sent out to 32 invitations were sent out. 88 was the lowest score, and the occupation in demand stream here, about 59 NOC codes were invited. If you see the number of these NOC codes, all these add up to about 59. Okay. Similarly, in the express entry stream of Saskatchewan, they also sent out 88 invitations, and again the score was 88. And again, the NOC codes were something similar, about roughly 59 invitations were sent out here as well. Okay. So they stayed pretty consistent. If you see the NOC codes, they invited finance, they have invited IT NOC codes, there are some healthcare thrown in there as well, and of course some construction trades. But the low number of invitations is what's killing the whole expectation of you getting invited. Now, for people who are wondering, what is the Saskatchewan portal? What is this scores? I mean, obviously you guys are new to this whole PNP game. Well, each province has a different program. Each province has a different criteria, different stream, different point system in some cases. Saskatchewan has their own account or their own portal. So you need to create your account. You need to create your expression of interest on the Saskatchewan portal if you are eligible. To be eligible, you need to have a score of 60 points. You get 60 points based on your education, your work experience, your language skills. And of course, you can also get additional points if you have a job offer or a job approval letter from an employer in Saskatchewan. You will also get additional points if you have a closed family member in Saskatchewan. So all of this contribute. Oh, you also get points for French as a second language. Of course, French rules the roost here. So in combination of all of these is how you will get your points. 60 points is what you need to get to be eligible, but 60 points in the future of in the history of Saskatchewan has been called only very few times, but it has happened. Otherwise, if you see a score, which you can see this time, is a score of 88, and score of 88 you can only gain if you have either a job approval letter from an employer in Saskatchewan or if you have a close family member. But that's the case as far as Saskatchewan's draw is concerned. Thankfully, it did happen. So that's what we are happy about. I hope they continue, because if they will continue, at least more occupations will get invited, and probably they will also start increasing the number of invitations. Therefore, we're seeing a drop in the scores. But you know what? Let me just get this out of the way right now. British Columbia reducing the number of invitations. Saskatchewan, lower number of invitations. Alberta, I'm not sure if you have heard. We're going to talk about Alberta. Do I have here on my presentation? No, we don't have Alberta. Why not? Okay, somebody must have missed that. So Alberta draw also was conducted. And what happened with Alberta? Let me show you what happened with Alberta. Alberta, where are you? Here. This is what happened. So on the 11th of June, Alberta finally reopened their program for the Alberta Opportunity Stream under a new platform. So they have redesigned their platform. They are now accepting applications under this platform where you can complete your application. The portal or the platform will open once every month. They've announced 7 dates. The first date, one for each month of the year, for the remainder of months of the year. The first was on the 11th of June. The portal opened, of course, at 8:15 a.m. Mountain Time. Again, all this information was not very clear. We had to really look for this information. We eventually found this information on their Twitter account, that they will start at 8:15 a.m. And therefore, if you are interested in Alberta, please follow their Twitter account, so at least you can get updated with this. Now, when they did open, as anticipated, as expected, as you would believe that it happens whenever they conduct these kind of draws for these kind of programs, when they have an intake kind of a thing, the system crashed. It had to crash. It was ridiculous, right? Because you have put a pause on such a popular program for such a long time. The least you could do was be aware that this is going to take a long, this is going to attract a lot of people, and therefore be prepared for that kind of an influx of number of people who would come. But they did not, and the deluge of the people who did flood into making their applications or submitting their applications completely crashed the system. It was a total disaster to be that day. People really couldn't log in. Once they were able to log in, the waiting time was extremely long. You could see that your place in the queue was like 5,000, 8,000. I even saw about 13, 14,000 as a place in the queue. So obviously, a lot of people would have been disappointed. Why? Because the total number of applications they were going to accept in this particular stream under the Alberta Opportunity Stream was only 430. That's it. That's the number of applications they were going to accept. And if you were accepting 430 and you had like thousands of people waiting, this was going to be a disaster, right? Not only that, what also Alberta has done is that they have changed the format for example, the Alberta Accelerated Tech Pathway. Earlier, if you were Alberta Accelerated Tech Pathway, then all you had to do was create your expression of interest. You would get invited immediately without any draw, and then you would complete your application. But nothing happening there anymore. Now you have to also wait every single month and then submit when the portal opens. Same thing for rural renewal stream, same thing. So this is what happened with Alberta, though they did come back in their defense. Sorry, they did come back. I think they said that we will, let me see where I can just find this. They came back and they said that we will accept applications who were left midway. So if you were left high and dry, then they would, I have it here. Yeah, so they said Alberta will be directly contacting individuals who partially completed their applications on the 11th of June and 12th of June with an opportunity to complete their submission. So if you were one of those who were able to partially complete your application, because once this disaster happened on the 11th, they reopened the stream, they reopened the platform on the 12th to allow people to sort of continue with their applications. Even then, there was a big problem, and therefore they came out with this. And again, therefore, as I'm saying, if you wish to submit your applications to Alberta, then you should be following their Twitter account, because a lot of information comes from there. So that's what happened with Alberta. That's the end of this one. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Yep. Gone, finished, done. Right. What else do I have for you guys? Do I have something else here? Let's see. Oh, that's it. That's the weekly presentation. Oh, I also have Nova Scotia before I get on. Everybody who's celebrating, Eid Mubarak to you guys. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your sacrifices and your prayers and bless you and everybody else around you. So keep it peaceful, keep it nice, keep it good. Enjoy the feast, enjoy the festivities around it. And then, yeah, blessings to everybody there. What else have we got? In other news, oh, we do have other news, right? Hold on there. The top 5 jobs that received the most LMIAs in 2023. Now, this is rocking, right? General farm workers. This I can understand, because obviously, I mean, I'm not sure if you knew, Canada has huge agri industry, and therefore the number of LMIAs, and this is also seasonal. So a lot of seasonal workers coming into the farms. The number of LMIAs issued there were 8,289. Cooks, for some reason, Canada needs a lot of cooks. So we had 5,187 LMIAs issued. Food Services Supervisor, NOC code 6311, which was the 2016 NAICS NOC code, 3,739. Food counter attendants, kitchen helpers, and related support occupations, 2,576. And for some reason, Canada does not have administrative assistants. Administrative assistants. Yeah, and we had to issue LMIs, 1,619. These were the numbers for 2023. I am absolutely certain that when the numbers come out for 2024, they will blow through the roof. I can't wait to see those numbers. But this is what tells you. For some reason, food services and administrative assistants continue to invite a lot of LMIAs, right? For some reason, you would believe that you could easily find Canadians to do this job, but apparently not. We need more cooks, we need more food services supervisor, we need more food counter attendants, and we also need more administrative assistants. You would have thought IT, you would have thought healthcare, you would have thought those positions, but apparently not. Okay, so this is what's happening with it. That's all that I have for you, but I do need to talk to you about Nova Scotia. What happened with Nova Scotia? Let's go back to this one. So what happened with Nova Scotia? Nova Scotia also invited a few hundred people from the express entry pool to just send out invitations, and these were under the NOC code, I think 33109 or 32109. I don't remember the exact NOC code. So these comes and they did send out all the invitations, and then they realized they made a mistake, because they did not intend to send it out to everybody. They only wanted to send it out to the podiatrists, and therefore, if you received an invitation from Nova Scotia and you are not a podiatrist, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing this correct, but if you're not a podiatrist, then please do check the Nova Scotia website before you continue with your application. You might see an update there. So that's what happened with the Nova Scotia PNP. As I said again, please always make sure that you do have an active and a valid express entry profile, because you never know which province might come knocking on your door. Yeah, please do connect with us on all social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, of course, on YouTube, and also on TikTok for the very weird reason, but we are there. Right, what else do I have for you guys? Express entry. I know a lot of people are asking for express entry. What is that about? As I said to you already, I do not have anything on express entry at this point of time. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is okay. Nitesh says, big shout out to you for your guidance and mentorship to make my PR journey successful. Thanks again to make my dream of permanent resident of Canada. Thank you so much, Nitesh. That was very kind of you. I know you connected with me on LinkedIn and you sent me this message. Congratulations. I feel so nice when I see these kind of messages. This is always a testament of the fact that whatever we are doing together, right? We're talking about and we're sharing all this information and updates all the time. this does help so many of you out there, and I'm so glad to see that it worked out for you. Congratulations, and I wish you and your family all the very best. All right, so as I was talking to you guys about the express entry streams, I do not have no information at all what's happening. As I said, that usually in such cases there is something technical that is holding them back, but I'm not sure if IRCC has moved to probably a monthly draw. I did tweet earlier, and I did copy Mark Miller on that one, saying that if you really wanted to maintain people's confidence in the express entry system, why won't you, at least, if you don't want to conduct the draws, fair enough, there might be reasons for that, but at least inform, right? At least share that information, share that update, let people know, let people plan. People, your work permits are expiring. That's a big concern, of course. If you've spent so much of time, you've spent so much of money, you put in so much of effort to be here, to be part of the Canadian economy, to be part of Canadian job market, and the Canadian life, you want to obviously stay put, right? So it's not really helping your cause. But yeah, this lack of transparency and information, which does not come, that is what puts everybody on tenterhooks. But I wish I had some more information to offer to you, but I don't. So I'm jumping on directly today to the Q&A, and let's see what's happening there. Let's see. Pankaj says, yeah. Worked 3 months remotely outside Canada for a Canadian company, now working inside Canada for the same company for last 4 months. Can I add both experiences for FSW under HCP and apply under OINP? Can I add both experiences for FSW under HCP? Work experience outside Canada is foreign work experience. Work experience inside Canada is Canadian experience. So basically those two go separate. Technically, you shouldn't be able to add it, and even then, this is only 7 months of work experience. You know what? You might just be able to get away with it by claiming all of it to be federal skilled worker or rather a foreign work experience. But because there is no clarity on this, and I really can't guide you with any certain measure here, because even Ontario's the regulations that they have that govern their program do not specify such amalgamation or such merging of two different work experiences to claim it as foreign work experience. They're very clear as to what is Canadian work experience inside Canada, what is foreign work experience outside Canada. But when you combine the two, can you call both of it foreign work experience? There is no clarity. So it will be entirely on the discretion of Ontario's officer. My OINP invitation has been withdrawn because of incomplete application. Consent form was password locked. Is there any way I can contact and submit it again? It's very, very unfortunate, but they're very, very clear as to how you should submit your documents as well. You can obviously request them. You can send them an email. You can raise a web form to Ontario, and you can request them to reopen and give your explanation. And if you're lucky, it might go through. But if not, then unfortunately, this was an incomplete application, and therefore you would have to go through it with it again. Okay. My OINP is stuck on 3 weeks on assessment. Is that concern? What is the average processing time? Well, as long as your application is in there, it's just wait it out. I know sometimes you guys get anxious. You want it to happen quick. You want it to happen fast, but please just wait it out. The non-express entry average processing is anywhere from 3 to 5 months. So just wait it out. Hopefully you will get through as well. OINP human capital priorities file is in progress. Can I submit EAPR from India and move to UAE for work? Do bill, mill, and PPR from the latter? Will there be any issue delay? Okay, good question. Let's take it and understand what this is all about. Well, you are a person who's outside Canada. You have received your Ontario's invitation. Your Ontario's application is in process. You are completing it from India, and then you wish to submit your application for PR in express entry from India, which is fine. After that, you want to move to UAE because you have a job, which is also fine. Can you do your biometrics and medicals in UAE? Yes. And can you also do your PPR, which is passport request from UAE. Can you do all of this? Yes, you can. There is no issue. There is no delay. Now, you see, you're outside Canada, so that clears one thing. You will be considered as an outlander, as people refer to, and your application will be processed in the similar manner. Changing countries, changing cities, changing addresses is not a problem. It does not create any issue. You can complete your biometrics anywhere in the world, regardless of, wherever you submitted your application, doesn't matter. After completing your biometrics, you can also complete your medicals anywhere in the world. Of course, when I'm saying anywhere, I mean it has to be with one of the visa application centers for biometric and with a registered panel physician for the medicals. And there is absolutely no problem. And whenever you're changing your country of residence, whenever you're changing your address, please do raise a web form and inform IRCC about the change of address, so that is on record. But in your situation, absolutely no issue. You can do it anywhere in the world. You can make these changes. You can move, no problem there. Work permit is expiring in August with a 515 CRS. What's the best option? CAQ, LMIA, or fake extension? In future, if my PR is picked, can I apply bridge open work permit with fake extension implied status? If you're asking me what's the best option, if you have an LMIA, of course, get an LMIA. I mean, you're asking me for CAQ, which basically means you're in Quebec. So if you are in Quebec applying with a CAQ, bear in mind that your intention should be to reside outside Quebec. So please get that sorted out first. And if at any point of time you applied for fake extension, then you are on what we refer to as maintained status. When you are on maintained status, then you maintain also your eligibility to apply for bridge open work permit, because one of the conditions of bridge open work permit is that either you are on a valid work permit, or you are on an implied status as a worker, or you are out of status but in a position to restore your status as a worker. These are the three conditions. And if you are on a maintained status, implied status as a worker, then that also that basically gives you the eligibility to apply for bridge open work permit once you have received your IT and submitted your PR application. I have received my stamped passport just 4 days. Just after 4 days, I gave birth to a child. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. I submitted the docs, asked my IRCC. Been 4 months, my file is closed. COPR is expiring 28th of September. Timeline for my case, what if COPR expires? Well, no problem. If there is a change in your family composition, you have to. It's not optional. It's not something which you will think about it later. You can sponsor your child or your spouse later. No, it is not optional. If there is a change in your family composition, you have to inform IRCC. And once you inform IRCC, and yes, the wheels of processing in IRCC move very, very slowly, but eventually it will get done. And even if your COPR expires, it's not a problem, because you have already initiated the request to IRCC to add your child to your application. So what's going to happen is eventually you will receive a new passport request. You will send your passport and your COPR back to IRCC. They will cancel your old COPR. They will cancel your old visa. They will stamp a new visa. They will issue a new COPR, and they will also issue your child's visa as well as your COPR for the child. So yeah, well done. Congratulations. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going to happen. I have not claimed Indian experience in Express Entry due to NOC code and job responsibilities. Do I need to submit that docs too in CEC? How can I declare that experience in OINP skilled trade if not claiming in EE profile? Okay, there is a bit of a, I don't know. All right, so first things first. If you are not claiming work experience in Express Entry, that's absolutely fine. What will happen is once you get invited and you're completing your Express Entry application after invitation, after IT, you will have a separate section called personal activities or personal history. Therein, you will mention all your work periods, all your work experiences, and you do not need any documentation for this period of time, this period of work experience, because you're not claiming any points for it. Okay. Now, do I need to submit the docs too in CAC? No, of course not. If you're not claiming points for it, no documents are required. And of course, you're mentioning it in personal history. Now, as far as Ontario's skilled trade is concerned, again, when you're completing the application for Ontario's skilled trade, because the main eligibility criteria for Ontario's skilled trade is that you should have 1 year of work experience with an employer in Ontario in a skilled trade within the last 2 years, right? So your foreign work experience is irrelevant anyway. So what you will do is when you're completing your application, you will mention your foreign work experience in the work history of OINP, because it asks you for your last 10 years. So you will mention that work experience. It's just that you can add a letter of explanation, or you can simply add whatever documentation you have for that period of work. It's not going to matter because they will not consider it for assessment because you do not have any eligibility criteria linked to that period of work experience. I hope that helps. Nothing there. Som says, can I create a CEC profile after 11 months of experience? If I get an ITA after 11 months and use the 60-day document submission time to reach 12 months of experience, could this lead to PR rejection? Well, technically, the system allows you to create your express entry profile if you have completed 11 months of work experience in Canada. So yeah, if the system allows you to do it, absolutely you can do it. But obviously, please bear in mind, though the system may allow you to do it, though you might even get invited, you have to complete your 12 months of work experience in Canada, or for that matter, anywhere, even if it's foreign work experience. Whatever time you're claiming points for, you must claim that, you must complete that period of work experience, because if you don't, the system is identifying your work experience by month year. And therefore, it's that glitch exists whereby you get invited 1 month earlier, 1 month sooner. That does not mean that the assessment or the application, when it is being verified and validated, they operate in the same manner. No, then it's a manual verification, manual calculation of scores, and the actual dates, actual months, actual weeks, actual hours completed are calculated. Therefore, yes, you can submit your application after having completed the legal valid period of work that you're claiming points for. In your case, you have 60 days time to submit your application. So please ensure once you have completed 12 months, then you submit your application. Outside of Canada candidate, I have an LMIA-based job offer to add 50 points to CRS. I have second thoughts. Why? Do I or employer need to inform ESDC if I do not need this job after I land in Canada? Oh, so you want to claim the 50 points, but you don't want to work for this job when you come to Canada. Okay. All right. So first of all, LMIA is not your responsibility. It's the employer's responsibility. It's the employer who applies for the LMIA, not you. That's number one. Number two, you are using the LMIA with the job offer to claim points, which you can technically, because the system and the law allows you to do that. After you have arrived in Canada, after you've landed in Canada as a permanent resident, your permanent residence is not conditional. There are no conditions. There are no terms attached to your PR. It doesn't say that you are a PR and you were granted because of this job, you must work in this job. There are no terms. There are no conditions. So the day you land in Canada as a permanent resident, you are free to work wherever you wish to. You're free to not work if you don't want to. And from your side, you do not have any obligation to inform anyone for not working in that job. I have a pharmacy assistant job offer in New Brunswick. My score is 450 in CC with retail sales supervisor experience. Should I go for PA job if it is in health category? Yes, of course you should. Why not? Why wouldn't you, right? Because pharmacy assistant is now being included in the healthcare, and therefore, if I was you, I would certainly. I mean, if I can get that 6 months of work experience in. If my NOC code is included, please check. I mean, I don't remember if 33103 is included or not, but if it is included in the healthcare category, why wouldn't you do it? If you take it to 1 year of work experience, then you can even be eligible under the Ontario's Human Capital Priorities healthcare as well. So yes, always give yourself the maximum backup options if you have an opportunity. CEC CRS is 500, work permit is expiring in May. Should I wait for the next STEM or CEC draw with the low score or go for spouse non-accompanying with CRS 512? I can't answer that question for you. That is something which you have to decide. Should I do this? Should I do this? This is a decision you guys will have to make. If I was in your place, I would always get it in the bag first and then think of other things, because waiting for the next STEM, when it happens, I do not know what the scores are going to be when the next STEM happens. And even if the next STEM happens, if you're going to go with the score of 500, you can wait if you wish to. But this is a decision. Should I go this way? Should I not go this way? Which one should I take first? Which one should I not take first? That depends entirely up to you. I mean, a lot of things depend on these decisions, and this one that you have to make a choice with. I had 10 months of experience as an IELTS trainer in India. If I go back and complete 2 months with the same job and company, can I claim points for express entry? Any cons as will be off from different supervisor job? Good question. And this is something which I can show you. And it's always good to know where the law allows you to do this, right? Because that's where it comes from. Let me see if I can pick that up. Yeah, I have it here. So what I'm showing you on the screen now, I'm just going to remove this. This is the ministerial instructions that govern the express entry. Now I'm going to just quickly scroll down and I'm going to go to section. Where is the section? Sections. I'm looking for section 25. So no, I'm going to scroll down. Canadian work experience, foreign work experience. Is this the one? No, 17. We need to go further on. 19, further down. 22. Okay, we are getting there. 23, 24. Combination of Canadian work experience and foreign work experience. This is what you're getting points for, right? And this is section 25. This is where it defines your skills transferability points. That is what you want, right? About 50 extra is what you can get. So here, sections 20, for the purposes of section 23 and 24. And what is 23 and 24? It's always important to take everything in context. So combination of foreign work experience and official language proficiency, section 23. And then the next one is combination of Canadian work experience and foreign work experience, section 24. So these are your skills transferability points. This is what gives you. And the definition of foreign work experience is explained here. It says it is acquired by a foreign national outside Canada in one or more occupations listed in tier category 0, 1, 2, 3 of national occupation classification. So you know that it has to be under tier code 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. It consists of full-time work experience or full-time equivalent, which is also fine. This is where it is very, very important. It says with one or more employers. Now, see, this is the biggest difference. Under normal circumstances, express entry eligibility criteria will tell you very clearly that in order to be eligible, your work experience has to be continuous. Okay, it has to be the same knockout. And it doesn't say one or more employer, but here you see it doesn't say anything about continuity. It doesn't say it has to be continuous. It just says that you have to have the work experience. It has to be outside Canada. It consists of full-time work experience or full-time equivalent, doesn't matter, with one or more employers. So it's telling you it can be with more than one employers. It says it has to be acquired within the 10-year period preceding on the day on which the points are assigned. Okay, that's it. That's all it says. With one or more employers is what tells you that it could be with different employers. It doesn't say it has to be continuous. So that by itself tells you that if you have with different employers, if you have 10 months before, now you go back and you complete your 2 months, there is no problem at all. You will be able to use this work experience. And that's all that is there, right? In order to be assigned points, you must specify in the expression of interest your 5-digit code. Expression of interest here is your express entry profile. And you must have performed the actions described in the lead statement and in the occupation set out in the occupational descriptions. That's it. That's where the whole the eligibility comes from, the qualification comes from. So to answer your question once again, can you do this? You worked 10 months before. Can you go back and complete 2 more months? Yes, absolutely you can. This also then brings me to those people whose work permits are expiring at this point of time, right? You are like freaking out. Should I do fake extension? Should I apply for visitor record? Should I wait it out? Should I wait for 3 months, 6 months? Well, if your work permits are expiring, consider going back home. It's not a problem. It's not the end of the world. Okay, you can go back home. Staying in Canada as a visitor, not working legally, you are now eating up your savings. You're obviously, it's expensive, right? I know the life in Canada is quite expensive. So why would you continue being here if it is not going to give you any advantage? Now, if you have an outstanding interview, if you have a pending meeting with an employer who promises to give you an LMIA, or you have a job offer that you're waiting for, fair enough. I can understand that you wanting to stick around. But if you have none of those, why would you wait here? Even if you have submitted your application, go back, wait it out over there, because one, you can meet your family and friends. Of course, you might have not met them for a very long time. And number two, it's obviously cheaper. And number three, being in Canada is not giving you any additional advantage. On the contrary, if you are like what Tejbir's situation is, that you have, for example, 6 months of work experience before you came to Canada, and now you are struggling at 480s, 470s, 490s, and you do not know what to do. If you were to go back to your home country, if you were to go back to India, you want to go back to your any country wherever you are from, and you complete the remainder 6 months of work experience to get that 1 year completed, so you can then get your skills transferability points, I think it's a pretty good idea. Why would you want to spend money buying job offers? Why don't you instead just go back and do this instead, right? Wouldn't this be much better? So yeah, consider doing this instead. Guys, please do not do super chats. I will not be taking any more of them. So please just do not do super chats. I would really appreciate it. It says, can I apply for both visitor visa and fake permit extension? And can I maintain a status after getting rejection from a fake work permit? First of all, you cannot apply for a visitor visa if your work permit is already expired. What you'll be looking to do is applying for a visitor record. But if you get a visitor record first, then that status takes over and you are no longer a worker. So I do not see any sense in making both the applications together. But it's your choice. If you're asking me technically, technicality allows you to make 2 applications. Friend submitted PR application, 2 years CEC experience, didn't have a job during the submission of the application, received an offer letter. Should he update the IRCC now? No, there is no requirement for you to update IRCC about an offer letter when it has no relevance, no consequence in your application. You submitted your application that was based on Canadian experience and you already completed Canadian experience. That's it. There is nothing to update. You will only update IRCC if there is a change in your family composition. You will update IRCC if there is change in your address. You will update IRCC about change of employment if you have claimed points for your job offer. You have claimed points for the employment conditions. Then you will inform IRCC. Otherwise, you submitted an application. Now there are some things happening, development happening. You don't have to inform. I applied for fake extension, but 2 weeks after my work permit expired, I received an IT and AOR. So what do I do in this scenario? Well, then go ahead and apply for a bridge open work permit because you are still eligible to do that, right? Because you have a fake extension, which gives you implied status, which gives you the eligibility to apply for bridge open work permit. So please do. My got treated for TB. Shall my sister mention it on her study permit extension form? Because in form it asks, have you or your family member got TB in the last 2 years? If it is asking you specifically, then you should always answer the questions correctly and honestly. And therefore, yes, please do. Because in this case, what's going to happen is then your sister would receive a medical request, which she must then complete. And once she completes the medical, hopefully everything will be fine. And they will then grant her status. My spouse and my PCC photos are absolutely dark, can't identify us. I have used the same PCC for my doc submission. Will that cause any issues? No, they will not cause any issues. If IRCC needs new pictures, they will ask you for it. Work permit expiring on July 1. When can I apply for work permit extension? Well, you can apply for it at any point of time before the 1st of July. So yeah, any day before 1st of July. Any benefit of spouse getting an LMIA? Will there be any chances that primary applicant gets an extension on existing work permit if the spouse gets an LMIA? Benefits, well, the benefit is that you will be able to maintain status, but you do not get any points for your spouse getting a LMIA. So what you can do is your spouse can apply for a closed work permit, and on that closed work permit, you can apply for an open work permit. That's what you can do. My postgraduate work permit will expire on the 30th of August. CEC score is 516. Can I call my wife on visitor visa before my work permit expires so we can travel to Canada? We can travel Canada before I leave. And should I do fake extension? Listen, this question, it confuses a lot of people because a lot of people, for example, you are a person who is currently in Canada. You are on a study permit, you are on a work permit, your work permit is expiring, your study permit is expiring, and you're always asking, can I apply for my spouse? So first of all, you need to understand, you are not going to be applying for your spouse. Your spouse will be making the application. So yes, physically you can submit the application on your spouse's behalf, but the applicant is not you. The applicant is your spouse. Okay, that is the first thing you have to remember. So whenever an applicant makes an application for a visit visa, for a temporary residence visa, then the applicant has to be able to establish that their primary purpose of coming to Canada, their ties to their home country, their financial stability, their past travel history, and whatever ties that they have to the home so that they will be returning back. So you being in Canada, first of all, is in this case relevant only because you're in Canada, you will be able to provide with an invitation letter, and that's just about it. So when your work permit is expiring, not expiring, that has very little relevance. All you can provide is an invitation letter. You can mention what the purpose of your wife's visit to Canada is, and then your wife obviously will then prepare her own SOP kind of a document to explain why does she want to go to Canada, what is her travel itinerary looking like, excuse me, how long she will be staying in Canada, what are the reasons that will pull her back, what are her financial, economical ties, what are her family ties, what are her emotional ties for her to return back to Canada. And that's how you would go about making that visit visa application. But yes, you can do it, no problem. And should you do a fake extension? Well, it's entirely up to you. If you wish to continue working in Canada on a maintained status for whatever the period of time might be, yes, you can do that. Now, Ontario Human Capital Tech Draw will be based on the last STEM or the last CEC. Ontario's Human Capital Draws are always based on the last category draws for that specific category. For Tech Draw will be the STEM draw that IRCC has conducted. For healthcare will be the healthcare draw that the IRCC has conducted. Nothing there. Working as a software engineer on a postgraduate work permit will be expiring soon. Is there any category under INP for IT people if employer is willing to help without French? So I do not know what you mean with your question as to employer is willing to help without French. Okay, so let's understand this one. There is a provision under the IMP, which is the International Mobility Program, which is also called the French Mobility Program. And under this, you as an applicant, if you have French language proficiency score of level 5, NCLC level 5, and you have the qualifications to perform the job, then if you find an employer is willing to make you a job offer, then with that job offer, you can make an application for a work permit. It's a closed work permit under the Francophone Mobility Program. Now, as I said, the requirement is pretty simple, that you should have a language proficiency of CLB 5 or NCLC 5. That is the main criteria. For the employer will have to create the employer portal account on the IRCC website. They will have to create your job offer. They will have to pay a fee of $230 as the compliance fee. They should provide you with the screenshot of this application that they have created and of the fee that they have paid. You will then add that details and that screenshots information in your application. You will make an explanation as to how are you qualified to perform the job that is being made to you, and that is how you will submit your application. Now, there is no specific condition that is mentioned under this program which says that the employer should need your French speaking skills. None of that has been mentioned. So if your employer does intend to sort of say that French proficiency would be desirable, would be preferred kind of a thing, it helps, but there is no specific criteria which says that that has to be part of your job offer. This is how you can apply for a work permit under the Francophone Mobility Program. Dhruv says, can you tell more on recent COPR cancel of 2? Is COPR cancellation common or IRCC to have extremely solid reason before they can go to this extent? I'm not sure what you're talking about, my friend. I do not know which COPR cancellation are you talking about. If you are referring to the case that I tweeted about in the sense of people who are running fake payroll. So this is the situation where individuals who have got their permanent residence, who have finally managed to get their PRs, they first receive a procedural fairness letter. If IRCC has a very strong reason to believe that something in their application was incorrect. In this case, these two individuals were running fake payroll. Now, fake payroll basically means they were not working for an employer, but with an understanding with the employer was remitting their salaries to their account. They were, of course, paying the money to the employer and with the proper deductions, and they were getting a pay stub and a T4. And that's how they showed IRCC that they have work experience. However, IRCC has then discovered that this work experience was fraudulent, that they were not actually working. They were just running a fake payroll. So they asked these individuals to provide additional documents, which they could not provide to the satisfaction of the visa officer. Therefore, that initiated the requirement of their COPRs being cancelled, their permanent residence status being revoked. And then from there on, inadmissibility hearings started. And now they're in the process of making an appeal. It's a huge mess. But I also understand that there are several hundreds of other cases which are now being investigated by IRCC's fraud prevention unit, where a lot of such employers, you see, so an employer who's running a fake payroll for you probably is also running a fake payroll for several others. And if they have identified one person, then obviously it's like a thread. They start pulling the thread, and everybody in that thread starts falling down. And therefore, other individuals who have also been running fake payroll, they are also now being investigated, and this is being investigated as a huge scam that is being run. There is names of several employers who have been running shell companies just for the sake of running payrolls, kind of a thing. And this is going to see a big face in a few days. So you're going to see the face of this in a few days, hopefully. And I hope this kind of a scam is busted. The sooner the better. But yes, this is what's happening. Can I still work in applied status after getting visitor record? No, you cannot. The minute you get a visitor record, that basically means now you are not an implied status anymore. You are now as a visitor, and therefore you can no longer work. I got married on the 17th of June. Can I add my spouse to my EE before receiving marriage certificate? It takes 3 months to get marriage certificate in Ontario. No, you cannot. What you can do is you can inform IRCC that you are now married. IRCC will take time to send you the forms and documents, and then they will give you 30 to 60 days to complete your forms and documents. So in that period of time, hopefully you will receive your marriage certificate. But bear in mind that marriage certificate is a mandatory document in order to complete your application. So while you can inform IRCC that you are now married, you can't really add your spouse until all the documentation has been completed. Guys, please do not do any more super chats. I will not be taking any more questions for super chats after this. This is the dual LMIA intent. My postgraduate work permit has expired. Applied for closed work permit. I got ITA under CEC. In this case, I'm applying with LMIA support PR. Correct? I'm not even sure what you're asking me. My postgraduate work permit expired. Applied for closed work permit. I got IT under CEC. In this case, I'm applying with LMIA support PR. No closed work permit. Correct? Again, I'm not able to understand your question, but as long, regardless of your status in Canada, regardless of whether you are on a work permit or you do not have status, or you basically are on a visitor record, or you're not even in Canada, it doesn't matter. If you have an LMIA supported with a job offer, and that LMIA is dual intent, as you are saying, then you will be able to claim 50 points and submit your application for PR. Guys, please do not do any more super chats. I will not be taking any more super chats now. Can I add spouse? Guys, do not do super chats. Please do not do super chats. I will not take any more questions, and then you will not like it, right? So the last question is on the super chats is, can I add spouses after ITA? Yes, you can add spouse after ITA, provided your new score after adding your spouse remains above the latest cutoff or the last cutoff. Then you can absolutely do that, no problem. Can I change jobs while provincial nominee PR is in process? Well, depends on what kind of provincial nominee process. If that provincial nominee process is connected, is related to the job that you are doing, or it is a job offer related or employer driven PNP stream, then please be very careful, because you will need to inform the province. The province will require you to provide new set of documents from your employer, and that is going to create an issue. You may or may not be able to get them. So please bear in mind about that. Our only child who's in Canada is working as a full-time worker. We are working in Saudi as a teacher. We haven't seen our daughter. Every time we apply for a visit visa, gets cancelled. How to visit? Unfortunately, there is no other option for you to visit. I mean, in this case, you probably will either have to invite your daughter to come back to visit you, or you will have to wait until she becomes a permanent resident, so then she can apply for a super visa. If your visit visa is getting cancelled, and I'm assuming when you say cancelled, it basically means it's getting refused, then you need to order the ATIP notes or GCMS notes to understand why is it being refused, and then see if you can reapply with proper documentation that support it. And if you are submitting an application with all aspects of your application complete and the documents have been provided, then if you get a refusal, consider hiring a lawyer and filing a case against the decision by submitting an application for judicial review. So for that, you can consult a lawyer to do that. If I received an ITA at 500 score and after receiving it, my LMIA expires, so I lose 50 points, can I be eligible to apply my permanent residence file later without LMIA? Your LMIA needs to be valid on the day you submit your PR application. And that's what is important. And if you're already on a closed work permit, then that's fine. Either your closed work permit or the LMIA, either of the two have to be valid on the day you submit your PR application. Okay, do you have any predictions? No, I don't have any predictions. There is no way. I mean, we don't even know when IRCC is conducting the next draw, for that matter. Can you please share your thoughts on illegal immigrants to become permanent residents? If this go through, I was here as a student, then work permit, and is out of status be considered? My thoughts, well, I honestly do not support the fact of illegal immigrants becoming permanent residents. Yes, I do understand that there might be some circumstances, and those have to be seen on a case-to-case basis. So there could be some really pressing circumstances in which a person has gone undocumented, has become illegal, and those could be considered. Those could be considered under humanitarian and compassionate grounds, of course, as I said, case-to-case basis. But to provide blanket amnesty, I definitely don't support that. And to provide blanket status to certain group of individuals based on the fact that they are already integrated with Canadian life, and they've already integrated with the job market, and it is not going to create any housing issue. That is not a reason to provide any kind of credibility for such a step. If they have chosen to go illegal, then there is a reason why they chose to go illegal. So until and unless there are pressing circumstances which made them do that, I would certainly not look at supporting illegal immigrants becoming permanent residents. Guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. If, of course, there are some questions which I haven't been able to answer, which is always the case, by all means, please do comment below in the comment section in the video, and I will be very happy to come back and respond to them as I can. By all means, please follow us on Instagram. We're all there. And of course, if you wish to make an appointment, then this is the link. We can discuss your case, your details, your queries, your concerns, your issues one-on-one, and hopefully be able to give you an answer for that. And of course, if you wish to hire us as your immigration consultants, then please drop us an email at support@askkubeir.com, and we'll be very delighted to do that for you. Thank you so much for joining in. It has been a pleasure once again. Happy Father's Day and Eid Mubarak to whoever is celebrating.